Thanks for tuning in again. And so here is another little video. This one concerns privacy issues and surveillance issues. Um, Needless to say, anybody here on YouTube who actually shows their own face on these tubes or anywhere else, like social networking sites, I don't know, MySpace, Facebook, whatever they're called, has already given up a large amount of their privacy, unbeknownst to them probably. And some of us are putting our faces out there and are going public. And um, depends on the context, of course. And these videos are not about um, Britney Spears or some current little adventure that we have just recently had and wanted to share with our friends. When the senior intelligence official, Don Kerr, I think Don Kerr is his name, basically a Bush crony, proclaims that we need to change our definition of privacy, I think it's important to listen how he would redefine that change in sentiment. He stated that anonymity is an outdated model of citizens' reasonable privacy expectations because, in his words, technology has advanced to such a degree that people have no problem sharing their credit card numbers online or posting their personal information on social networking sites. It should be noted at this point that Don Kerr was previously the director of National Reconnaissance, which is in charge of the nation's spy satellites. In other words, he's basically NSA. But here's where the problem comes in. Sharing your banking and credit card information happens through, or is supposed to happen through, secure network connections. And the data itself is essentially secure during those transmissions. But once NSA is allowed to intercept, to spy on American citizens, and it is doing so at this very moment, secure transactions via a personally identifiable IP address can be combined by the government by monitoring private transactions to build dossiers on individual citizens. It sounds like East Germany to me when, I lived there for a while, so it was very much put into action there as well. And, the technology hadn't quite gotten there yet, but, same basic principle. What did you order on Amazon? What books did you read? What magazines did you subscribe to? Or do you subscribe to? What organizations do you actually belong to, or do you belong to any? Building comprehensive dossiers on people, individual citizens, without their knowledge is probably not a good thing. When private companies are compelled to share private information about you, including your social security number, which is no longer secure anyway, your medical history, your pharmaceutical needs via your pharmaceutical records in your local pharmacy, via insurance claims, medical claims, your viewing habits on TV, all being collected into a single profile of you by a secret government entity Is this not Big Brother? In fact, AT&T and other telecoms should not be left off the hook when it comes to government surveillance, simply because the government finds it more convenient to collect all this data via private corporations and their databases on private citizens. How convenient. And especially not if these telecoms are actually profiting from the surveillance activities which they undertake. I would urge you to read Stephen Aftergood's Secrecy News on the website of the Federation of American Scientists. I'll probably do a follow-up video on this because it's a very important read. You know, the NSA and spying on American citizens is nothing new, of course. It began in earnest during the Johnson administration, Lyndon Johnson, that is, LBJ, you know, a Democrat, by the way, who wanted surveillance of peace activists and anti-war groups. You know, this was back during the Vietnam War, no matter what. You can read the entire history, just declassified this year, in this new book by Tim Weiner, I don't know what his name is, how it's pronounced. In any case, it's basically a new history of the CIA, and it's called Legacy of Ashes. This book, it's very thick. It's dense, it's thick, it's hard reading, but it probably should be required reading for every American, because things come to light which are quite interesting. Anyone speaking out against prevailing policies, both foreign and domestic policies, will naturally be viewed as a potential enemy of the state. But never in history, in our nation, has this been publicly enshrined into law, as it has been now done through the Military Commissions Act and several other laws. In fact, it was always very carefully hidden, because it would have been the ultimate embarrassment for a nation who proclaims democracy and freedom while actually working against it clandestinely for many, many years. Well, you know, at least one thing has become very clear. These cumbersome illusions have been laid bare, totally bare, by the Bush administration and their cronies in Congress, including many of our congressional Democrats. So no holds barred anymore. And the rest of the world already knew this, unbeknownst to us. And perhaps in time we Americans will come to terms with our own governments and our own history as well. Although, you know what, for right now I'll probably hold my breath, because it's not going to happen anytime soon. Hopefully it will, and the sooner the better. Good night.